Ethics is a fascinating area. In Europe, we believe very strongly in the rights of an individual, and the individual has been attacked in many cultures. And what we are trying to do is to ensure that where people have to make decisions, they make them in an informed way. And that includes everybody, from politicians all the way through academic scientists.
The final conference has been a great event. So many important people from different areas, from policy, from industry, from civil society, from the university world, have come to this conference and both learned about our project results and engaged in dialogue with us. And I think this dialogue has been very good and has certainly invited us and others to continue it. In the SATORI project, we have several main results. First of all, we have a very complete overview of ethics assessment, how it is practiced by different member states in the European Union, at the European Union level, at the global level, in selected non-European countries, how it's practiced in different fields, how it's practiced by different organizations, and what kinds of issues are present in ethics assessment. So that's an important result, we think. This has never been done before. We have developed an international standard, a SEN standard, for ethics committees, how they can be set up and how they can do their work in a good way. And this standard covers not only medical ethics committees, but all scientific fields. And we have developed specific recommendations for improving the institutional landscape of ethics assessment, and also how to have a better method for anticipating and ethically assessing impacts of research and innovation. That's a method we call ethical impact assessment.
It's a very important first step, for in the past we had big problems with different procedures in the different countries. So the procedure in my country, Germany, was totally different from that in the Netherlands, for instance, again different from France. We had different timetables. It was very cumbersome for the applicants, and so to harmonize the procedure, the technical procedures, for instance, the application form, is a very good thing to improve and to foster biomedical research and research as such.
Our researchers are eager and excited to do the work that they are best at, which is produce good results and have an impact on society, on employment, on job creation, and on their own field. Thus, after they finish with their ideas, they will also think of ethics. That's what I'm saying, that might be coming late in the process. I finished my proposal, now I have to do my ethics, or I have to do the ethics, what do I do? This is the notion that we want to fight against. This is the notion that does not help. The process creates red tape, creates delays, and this we want to avoid, because we want our researchers to focus on what they do best, which is provide good research results. If I can evaluate the work that we are doing in DGRTD in the ethics department, I can see it to be successful if we don't need to do ethics reviews anymore, which means that we have to put ethics into the heart of the research projects. If we take the two, I wouldn't call them main, but let's say two deliverables, outcomes of SATORI. The first one is the ethics assessment framework. I think there I can already see much use for it in what we call the self-assessment process within the Horizon 2020 procedure, in order to be able to give to the researchers a tool to understand what we are asking them and to facilitate their thinking about ethics and not only the ticking of the box that relates to ethics. So I can see really a direct use, but for that to happen, we have to look carefully at the ethics assessment tool and try to isolate the elements that will facilitate the uptake by the research community at this early stage of design of a research protocol. So that's one direct impact that I can see. The second is that we have to continue the discussion about common approaches, standardization if you like, but we have to be able, after 4 framework programs that dealt with ethics, we are now at the point to agree on some basic requirements, some basic principles that all can accept.
There's so many examples of scientists who have failed to ensure that their work is responsible. Not everybody, very often it doesn't matter. But there's little things. I mean, I'll take a trivial example. A scientist who wants to move a gene from one organism to another. And he says, well, the easiest gene to move into wheat is one from a pig. It's just because it's easy to get it from the pig. It's easier than to get it from a cow or from a mushroom. That scientist hasn't thought about the implications for those who are, let's say, pious Muslims in eating wheat which contains a pig gene. It may or may not impact on whether they can eat wheat, but the fact that they've chosen to take it from a pig implies a lack of thought, and that's, I think, where we need to be very careful indeed. It could have been taken from something that wouldn't offend. The new £5 note in England contains a little bit of animal fat. Vegans are objecting. Fair enough. Why could the people who designed that note not have thought about that before the note went into circulation? Now they say they can't change it, but it would have been trivial to take the fat from somewhere else. And these are examples of how science is causing harm and distress. There are many, many different aspects of society which we as individuals don't understand. So we have to place our trust in those arguably who do. Without trust, the society will break down. So we have to ensure that those who hold the knowledge which impacts on people's lives are trustworthy. And that's something that we're finding is not that easy.
Many people think it is already everything is solved, and not necessarily is the case. I wouldn't say that we are lacking too much more regulation. I think probably what we have is too much regulation. I think what is needed is sometimes more ethical reflection, and what is also important that is lacking is more conversation between different contexts about how to regulate the research, but also how introduce the value perspective, the ethical discussion, the ethical analysis, taking into consideration the very different context in which research takes place. Another reason why it's not so solved is because many new topics are also coming into the area of biomedical research and life sciences research because of the converging of technologies, because of the development of technology. So that's why also it's an evolving domain. That's why not everything can be solved already. And basically my response will be, we should not try to solve everything by regulation. We have to standardize some procedures, we have to standardize some rules, and we have to agree on principles. But I think we need to increase the dialogue and the ethical reflection in this.
Wondering, was it possible to make a standard on ethics? And well, we just started and proved both to the partners, but most importantly to the public, that it was possible to produce a standard. The result is a two-part document, one part more for the ethics committee, which explains the roles, the responsibilities, the principles, the procedures, but also how to continuously improve the practice of ethics assessment for the ethics committee. And part two is on the ethical impact assessment framework. This is more a document for researchers themselves, how they can improve the societal desirability of the outcomes of their project, well, by implying, using some methodologies, mostly in consultation with stakeholders, to get a better project and a better outcome of their research. And well, I'm very happy that we managed, based on the findings of the researchers, we managed to make a draft document, which we, in a public inquiry, we consulted with stakeholders in a digital way, but also through mutual learning workshops. We workshopped the draft version of the document and solicited a lot of comments, which were included and discussed and really improved the document. I think all SATORI partners are very happy about this standard, and it's really a practical outcome of so much research and, well, sort of a tiny document compared to all the, well, over 3,000 pages of research reports.